You're looking inside Brent Brown Ballpark, the site of the 11th annual Utah County All-Star Classic, presented by the Second Chance Foundation. I am Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us today. We have two games we're bringing to you this afternoon here on Memorial Day 2010. The first will be the annual Coaches versus Players game, where we'll have the coaches throughout the Utah County high schools taking on the All-Stars from Utah County. The coaches will be the home team in this game, and the players will be the visitors. The overall record in this game, believe it or not, the coaches have the overall standings. They are the leading right now. It's in the standings 6-4 all time against the players. The game is set to go for 5 innings. We are on a somewhat of a schedule here, so depending on how well this game moves along will be depending on how many innings we'll play. They'll plan on going 5, but if not, we will be we'll play as long as we can until we get to the All-Star game for the North and South All-Stars. Stepping in the box first for the players, I believe is number 10. This is Buddy Adams from Salem Hills. And Adams puts charge into right field, right out of Coach Childs. He puts it away for the first out and be one down for the players. And now batting for the players out of Pleasant Grove is Mr. Argyle out of PG. And again, these players, we will be seeing them in the second game tonight in the featured game for the All-Stars. The 1-0. And that ball is inside, 2-0 the count. On the hill for the coaches is Coach Bird from Pleasant Grove, and that ball's chopped foul, and the count now 2-1. 2 balls and 1 strike. And there's the bender, and that's up for a ball. 3-1 now the count to Argyle. That ball bounces. Well, I guess we're 3-2. The payoff pitch. And bounces away, and Argyle now reach first base on the walk. Now batting for the players from Springville High School, Ty Foster. Springville, the 4A runner-up. Now pitches outside from Bird, and it'll be a 1-0 count. One ball, no strikes, runner on first base. Foster here, the top of the first, one out. And there's a steal down to second base, and Argyle saved the ball going to center field. But Argyle will stay put at second, and they count now 2-0. The 1-1 from Bird. And that's in there for a strike. Count now 1-2 to Ty Foster. Runner on second base is Argyle. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed for the strikeout. Foster goes down swinging. Now 2 outs with the runner on second base. Now batting is number 7 from Provo, Colton Phillips. Runner on second base and 2 outs here in the top of the first. And that pitch is down. 1 ball and no strikes to Phillips. And he looks at a fastball down the middle. And they count now 1-1. 1-1 and 2 outs. And the bender outside, he takes it. And now 2-1 to Colton. The 2-1. And that's in there for a strike. The count now even at 2-2 to Colt Phillips. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs with the runner on second base. And that pitch is hit to the right side. That's going to get through. Rounding third base is Argyle. Going to come home. There'll be no throw from Child, and it'll be cut off at first base. And the players strike first on an RBI single from Colton Phillips. Argyle coming in for the score. Bonnet now batting. And man out of Pleasant Grove. A runner on first base. Colton Phillips. The 0-1 to Bonnet. I hit back up the middle, fielded by Bird. Bird will step and throw to first base for the 3rd out of the inning. So that's the end of the top of the first. The players strike first and go to the bottom of the first inning with a 1-0 lead over the coaches. Now on to the bottom of the first inning. Players leading 1-0. Now batting for the coaches is number 1, Nate Mathis. And on the hill for the All-Stars is Buddy Adams. First pitch is in for a strike. Count is now 0-1 to Mathis. The 0-1 from Adams. Curveball stop. Evens the count at 1-1. The 1-1 from Adams. And his pop back foul. The count will now move to 1-2. Count now 1-2. Here's the pitch from Adams. And that ball's fouled back to the screen. It will stay at 1-2 for Mathis. The 1-2 from Adams. And that ball is high. Evens the count at 2-2. Mathis able to lay off the high cheese. The 2-2. And that's outside and takes the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Nate Mathis, the leadoff hitter for the coaches. The payoff pitch. And that's up and in. And Mathis will take first on a walk. Now batting for the coaches, Greg Larson. Mathis on first. Here's a drive to the left field. It's bending, going to probably drop. Yes, it does. Falls in safely into left field and will now move Mathis up to second base. So Greg Larson comes up with a 1-out single. Still no one out for the coaches. Now up the coach from Mountain View, number 30, J.P. Clark, and this ball's hit to the left side. Fielded cleanly by the third baseman. Goes to second, goes for the turn, step, and throws, and gets him. The 5-4-3 double play. Nate Mathis does advance down to third base. So 2 outs with the runner on third for the coaches. Now batting for the coaches, number 29, coach out of Lehigh, Coach Matt. Mathis leading away from third base. The 1-0. And that ball's popped up to see if it stays playable. Drifting over and settling underneath it for the third out is the first baseman from Springville. And that'll do it for the coaches. They threatened, but after one complete inning of play, the players lead 1-0. Now to the top half of the second inning. Leading off for the players from Spanish Fork, number 1, Adam Duke. He and his brother Zach were a tandem at Spanish Fork for quite some time for the Dons, the 4A state champions. First pitch foul back. Now the count 0-1 to Duke. Adam Duke is Spanish Fork's all-time leader in wins on the hill with 31. And that pitch is outside. He was 11-0 with a 1.33 ERA and 100 strikeouts this season. The 1-1. Duke fouls that one back in the glove. The count now moving to 1-2. The 1-2 to Duke. And it hits him. Bird up in the count. The coach plunks him with the lazy curve. And Duke will now take a trip up to first base. After the hits batsman, Duke goes up to first base, and now batting from American Fork, Kyle Hall. And that pitch is in for a strike from Bird. The count now 0-1 to Hall. Bird comes from the stretch. Checks Duke. Steps, kicks and fires. Hits to the right side. It's a line drive right to the coach. He flips it on the first base to Kyle Flanagan for the second out. Duke took off on the line drive and a nice play. I believe out there at first base is Greg Larson. And now 2 outs after the double play from the coaches. Now batting T.J. Russin for the players, and that first pitch will a 40-footer. The 1-0 to Russin. And that ball is again skipped back to the catcher. 2-0 now the count. The 2-0 to Russin. Hits this one through the left side. So Russin comes through on the 2-0 pitch. And a runner back on for the players with 2 outs. And now a runner on first base. Now coming to the plate for the players, number 8, Kendall Cloward out of Timpanogos High School. Runner on first base and 2 outs, and that pitch is outside. They count now 1-0 to Cloward. The 1-0 to Cloward. Check swing down to second base. Got him between, and they puts him out. The players running themselves off the base paths. And a nice throwdown from Coach Matt, sticking him at second base. T.J. Russin not quite fast enough. And that'll do it for the top half of the inning. No runs for the players, but they still lead 1-0. The bottom half of the second inning, leading off for the coaches, number 24, Coach Cooper. Now on the hill for the players out of Payson High School, Colton Cannon. Here's the 1-0 to Cooper. Hit to the right side, ranging over. Get right in front of it and on to first base. And Cooper is down for the first out for the coaches. Brooks Fowler with the last put out. And now batting from Springville, Coach Willie Childs. That bender's up and in. 1-0 to Coach Childs. The 1-0 from Cannon. Swung on and missed. Evens the count at 1-1. Coach Child taking a healthy hack of that one. Cannon can go from the stretch here. Nobody on. And then the breaking ball is a little too tall. 2-1 now to Coach Child. The 2-1. That ball's outside. 3-1. Here's the 3-1. And that ball is up, and Coach Child will walk his way down to first base and give the coaches a runner here in the bottom half of the second. And now batting for the coaches, a veteran here to the Utah County All-Star game, Kyle Flanagan. One around first base, Coach Child. Flanagan hits it sharply down the first base line. That ball is fair. Child's around second base, on his way to third. And a throw's coming. It's going to be a little tall. Flanagan will try to get to second base, and he will be called safe. So give him a single. He'll take the bag at second base on the throw, and now runners at second and third for the coaches on a hard hit ball by Kyle Flanagan. So it's runners on second and third. Rich Fry comes up for the coaches, and that breaking ball is a little tall and in, and it'll be 1-0. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Runners on second and third. And that pitch finds the zone. Evens the count at 1-1. The 1-1 to Fry. And that ball's a little outside. The count now 2-1. The 2-1. That ball's popped up on the infield. Cannon drifting over, and he's called off. And the put out is made. And now 2 outs here in the inning, and the coach is still threatening. 2 outs, runners on second and third. Riley Gordon now batting for the coaches, and that pitch is in there for a strike. The 0-1. And the bender just misses the zone. The count now goes to 2-0. The 1-1. And that ball's popped back out of play. Here's the 1-2. The breaking ball lifted in the center field, coming in and camping underneath it for the third out. So Gardner flies out for the third out of the inning to center field. The coaches threaten with runners at second and third and 1 out, but unable to push any across. So after 2 innings of play, the All-Stars lead 1-0, heading to the top of the third. Leading off for the players is Kendall Cloward. Cloward was at the plate when Russin got gunned down trying to steal second base, and he fouls that one off. The count 0-1. The 0-1. And that ball is up, evens the count up at 1-1. Players lead 1-0 here in the top half of the third inning. And that breaking ball just misses. The count now 2-1. The 2-1, and that one's just off the plate. Now 3-1. The 3-1 pitch. Cloward fouls this one off to the right side. The count now runs full. The payoff pitch. And this one's lined in the center field and will fall safely to the turf. And Kendall on now with a leadoff single. And see if the players can get something going here in the third inning. Now batting for the players out of Payson High School. And he's been doing the pitching duties at least last inning. Colton Cannon. And this ball's drilled to center field. But hit right at the center fielder, camping underneath it for the out. He hit it hard, gave it a ride, but nothing doing. And now 1 out here in the inning with a runner on first base. Colby Croft now stepping in, number 7 from Pleasant Grove High School, the Vikings. Donning the old-school-looking Kansas City Royals uniforms this year. That ball misses. 1-0 now the count. With a runner on first base and 1 out, the 1-0 to Croft. Sidearm delivery just misses. The count now 2-0. The 2-0 pitch, and this one's drilled into center field to see if he catches up with this one. A lot of ground out there, and again, camping underneath it. And see if they're going to try to get the back door for the double play, and that ball's too tall for Flanagan. Karam's off the wall, coming up and firing down to second base, and they can't get the tag on him. Mathis could not handle the throw. So a little bit of a circus event right there, but it'll end up with 1 out, and then a base taken by Cloward down to second. So 2 outs and a runner on second base for the All-Stars. Now batting for the Players is Kennedy Kincaid out of Lone Peak High School. Kincaid takes a big hack and misses. 0-1 now the count. Lone Peak, the 5A state champions, defeating the high-powered Cottonwood Colts. And that pitch off the mark. Count now 1-1 to Kincaid. Kincaid fists this one towards second base, and it's put away by the coaches. So again, the Players get a runner in scoring position. Not much doing. 3.5 played. The Players lead 1-0. Head into the bottom of the third. Now on to the bottom half of the third inning. Ben Bird leading off for the coaches, and that pitch is off the mark. Now pitching for the Players is number 1, Cole Carter out of Springville. The 1-0, and that pitch misses. The 2-0 from Carter. That pitch inside. Bird lays off. Now 3-0. The 3-0. And that one finds the zone. Count now moves to 3-1. The 3-1 pitch. That swung on and missed by Bird. And the count now moves to full. Here's the payoff pitch. And that one's buzzing the tower. And Coach Bird will take a stroll down to first base. He was the first pitcher on the night. Has given up the only run in this game. Neil Warner now comes strolling, Sean Dollies to the plate for the coaches. The man of the hour, Mr. Warner, was supposed to be in this place. The 0-1, that swung on and missed. 0-2 with the runner on first base here for the coaches. Carter gets him to swing and strikes him out, and that'll be the first out of the inning for the coaches. Now up for the coaches, the man of the hour running the All-Star Weekend, Neil Warner. And that pitch is off the mark. Neil Warner also pitched last inning for the coaches. 1 out, runner on first base. Warner looks at the pitch off the outer part of the plate. 2-0 now the count. The 2-0, and that one's driven down the left field line and foul. The count now 2-1. The 2-1 to Warner. And check swing down the right field line, and it's drifting, and it falls just foul. Didn't get a good hack on that one, Neil, but nothing to hurt. Count now moves to 2-2. Here's the 2-2. And Warner tries to go the other way with it and fouls it off, and we'll stay right here. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A runner on first base. There's 1 out of the inning. That ball skips to the catcher. The count now goes full. Carter's already walked a man, and that is Coach Bird, who's on first base. Here's the payoff pitch to Warner, the top of the order behind him. Warner puts this one to left field and see if it has some spin on. Does not. Oh, the left fielder mishandles it. Coach Bird is called safe at second base. Give him the benefit of the doubt. The air will be out in left field. So E7 on the books as Warner will reach first base safely. Coach Bird called safe at second base. So 1 out, runners on first and second for the coaches, and an opportunity to tie the game with the top of the order coming up. Here's Mathis, and that ball misses the mark. 1-0 the count. Mathis walked and was stranded at third base in the first inning, and he gets a swing on this one, and it's drifting foul and will off the netting. So the count now 1-1. Here's the 1-1 to Mathis. And he lays off the breaking ball. The count goes to 2-1. The coaches have had a runner in scoring position in all 3 innings. This pitch is fouled off again, straight back and out of play. But they've yet to yield a run with their opportunities. Here's the 2-2. And that one's off the mark, and once again going full. Carter comes set, kicks and fires, and Mathis was able to hold up, and they check it. And the umpire says, no, he did not. So now bases loaded, and Greg Larson coming up. Bases loaded. Larson coming up, had a single last inning, tries to go the other way with the first pitch, and it goes out of play. The count now 0-1. The coaches with an opportunity to take the lead in this game. Carter working from the windup. The 0-1, and that's looked at and just off the plate to Larson. The count now 1-1. The 1-1 is upstairs. 2-1 now the count. Hitters count here for Coach Larson. Two and one. And that one's fouled back to the screen. Here is the 2-2 to Larson. That one's fouled off again down the third baseline. And out on the hill. Beautiful day here on Memorial Day. Again, the 2-2 from the windup Carter. And this ball skips, and for the fifth time this inning, we're going full count here. Here's the payoff pitch to Larson. And he fouls this one. It's drifting to see if it gets out of play, giving chase, trying to get underneath it, and comes up short. Had an opportunity at it, and unable to come up with it. And nice effort down the third baseman. Here's the payoff pitch. Already had 2 walks earlier in this inning. And it swung on and missed. Larson goes down on strikes. So now with 2 outs and the bases loaded, coming to the plate for the coaches, J.P. Clark, coach out of Mountain View. Working from the windup, here's Carter, and this ball's lined to center field. The center fielder's playing pretty shallow. Goes back and makes the grab. I believe that was Fowler out in center field. And the All-Stars dodge another bullet. The bases were full of coaches that couldn't push any across. So after 3 complete, the players still lead 1-0. Now to the top of the 4th inning. Leading off for the Utah County All-Stars is Brooks Fowler out of Timpanogos High School. That pitch in for a strike to Fowler. The 0-1 swung on and missed. The count now 0-2. Here's the 0-2. And that one skips back. The count now 1-2 to Fowler. Here's the 1-2. And that pitch inside and now goes to 2-2. Just missing the 2-2. That one's off the mark, and the count now goes full to Fowler. Here's the payoff pitch. Sidearm, and that ball is inside. Fowler will now take a little stroll down the first base. With the runner on first base, no outs. Now up from Spanish Fork, Dallas Smith. There's a high fly ball, drifting foul, and goes out of play. Coming to the belt. That ball skips back off the screen. 0-2, now the count to Smith. Here's the 0-2. Smith puts it through the left side. Oh, nice diving stab. Turning to the second base. Did he make the out? He did. An outstanding play turned in by Greg Larson. Ranging to his right. Makes a diving catch. Gets to his knee. And the put out at second base. I believe Clower to come on to pinch run for Fowler. And he gets him just in time. 1 out. Smith on first base. Here's a hard hit ball going back toward a left fielder and unable to make the catch. I believe that was Child out there in left field. Dalton Smith will stroll into third base and on now safely. We're going to call that an error out in left field. And they went hidden ball trick and got Smith. Came up after a little conference on the mound and got Smith with the hidden ball trick. Came up and talked that the pitcher does not go back to the rubber. The ball's really never in play. So they will call Smith out at third on the hidden ball trick. The tricky coaches gets the second out of the inning. So after the hit and ball trick and Smith being put out, 2 outs here in the inning for the Players. Runner at second base, and that pitch is outside and off the mark. Swung on and missed. Evens the count up at 1-1. Batting for the Players is number 13, Patrick Dolly, out of Mountain View. The 1-1 to Dolly. And that's in for a strike. And they go to pick off the runner. They got him in between. Run right at him. Now got him in a hot box. And the throw is too high for Larson. And the coaches can't come up with it. Speaking of Mathis. And our unnamed all-star. And I believe, that's Weston Talon out of Salem Hills. Salem Hills and Pleasant Grove, such similar uniforms. So Weston Talon now to third base. So after Talon safely gets to third and swung on and missed on the breaking ball, Dowley goes down but on strikes, and that'll end the threat for the Players in the top of the fourth. 4.5 in the books. The lead to the All-Stars, 1-0. Now heading to the bottom of the fourth inning, leading off for the coaches is Coach Matt. That first pitch is off the mark. Pitching for the Players is Brooks Fowler out of Timpanogos High School. That pitch just off the plate. The count now 2-0 to Coach Matt. The 2-0 from Fowler. Swung on and missed on the bender. The count now 2-1. Here's the 2-1. And that's in for a strike from Fowler. Evens the count up at 2-2. Again, the Players lead 1-0 here in the bottom of the fourth. The 2-2, and that skips back on the breaking ball. He takes the count full. So a full count to Coach Matt. The payoff pitch, and that's off the mark. And a leadoff walk here for the coaches. Again, looking to tie this thing up. Trailing 1-0, had their opportunities, just unable to yield any runs. So after the leadoff walk, Coach Matt will be pinch run for by Greg Larson. At the bat is Coach Cooper from Provo, and he holds off. No, they do call it a strike. So first pitch in for a strike. 0-1 the count to Coach Cooper. Fowler comes from the stretch, fires, and that ball is just off the plate. Evens the count at 1-1. Brooks Fowler comes set, and that pitch is off the plate. 2-1 now the count. Larson leading away from first. Fowler fires. Cooper holds off. Now 3-1. The 3-1. Back into the mitt. Catcher holds on to it. The count now full, 3-2. Here's the payoff pitch. Cooper swings and misses and is down on strikes for the first out of the inning for the coaches. So one down. And now coming to the plate for the coaches is Coach Willie Childs. Larson nearly picked off at first base. The look back from Fowler. Coach Child at the plate from Springville. Unable to hold on. They check him, and they're going to say, yes, he did. So Coach Child unable to hold up. They count 0-1. Larson leads away from first. The 0-1 to Child. He waits on down the third base, up with it cleanly on to second. Here's the turn for the double play. Unable to be scooped, so Child will reach on the fielder's choice. The Players miss out on another double play opportunity. There'll be 2 outs and a runner on first base for the coaches. Now at the plate for the coaches, Kyle Flanagan. Flanagan singled back in the second inning. And he looks at the first pitch for a strike. Singled and was stranded at second base, and the coaches had an opportunity with runners on second and third, pardon me. And that pitch is up and out. The 1-1 to Flanagan. Swung on, hit through the right side on a hit and run. Child will turn to second, looking to go to third. And Childs is going to be in safely for the second time, hitting in front of Flanagan. You better be in shape. Coach Childs going from first to third both times. Flanagan has come up to the plate. So now he's 2 for 2, speaking for Flanagan. And the coach is once again with a runner in scoring position, looking to tie this game up. Here's Rich Fry. Not the plate for the coaches. Runners on the corners. And hits this sharply to short. Up with it and firing it across the infield for the third out of the inning. And once again, the coaches threaten the knock at the door, but unable to get a run across. So they get a hit from Flanagan, but can't push any across. 4 complete innings of play in. All-Stars 1, coaches 0. The players in the top half of the 5th inning, the players looking to extend their lead. This could be the 5th and final inning of this ball game. Here's the 1-0. And that pitch is in for a strike. Harrison Gray at the plate for out of Orem High School for the players. The 1-1 foul back into the glove. It'll now be 1-2. Here's the 1-2 to Gray. That ball upstairs. The 2-2. That breaking ball just off the plate. And now takes the count full. The payoff pitch. Gray swung on and missed. For the first out of the inning, Gray goes down on strikes. And now batting for the players out of Springville High School, number 17, Mitch Cass, the 4A runner-up Spring Devils. And that pitch in for a strike. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed by Cass, now 0-2. That pitch off the plate. Count now 1-2. Cass is one of 4 Springville Red Devils here in the All-Star game. This pitch is foul back. 2-2. Here's the 1-2. And he looks at it upstairs. Here's the 2-2 to Cass. Swung on and missed for the second strikeout of the inning. Now batting for the players is Cole Carter. And he swings to the first offering and misses 0-1. Here's the 0-1. And that's off the plate. Here's the 1-1. That pitch is inside and takes the count 2-1 to Carter. Here's the 2-1. And that pitch is up and out. Count now goes to 3-1. Here's the 3-1 to Carter, and that pitch is up and out again. And Carter will take a stroll down to first base. Now batting for the All-Stars, number 12, Matt Greiner, out of Provo. Runner on first base and 2 outs. Here's the 0-1. Greiner hits it down to third base. Up with it now across the infield. Did they get him? Yes, they did. A nice play turned in by Coach J.P. Clark from Mountain View. And now we'll do it for the players in the top half of the 5th. They still lead 1-0, heading to the bottom half. Now to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Riley Gardner leading off for the coaches. Russin now on the pitch for the All-Stars. Young man out of Lehigh High School. That pitch is a little tall for ball 1. The 1-0 from Russin. That pitch is swung on and missed. Evens the count at 1-1. Here's the 1-1. And that ball is down. And the count now 2-1 to Gardner. The 2-1. Gardner lifts this one in a shallow right field. On comes the center fielder who's going to get there first. And the catch is made. I believe out in right field is Weston Talon. Talon came in and made a nice sliding catch. And that will be 1 down for the coaches. Now batting for the coaches is Ben Bird, who is their starting pitcher here today in this game. Bird takes this one right back up the middle. So the coaches once again having a runner aboard in every inning, but unable to push anybody across. And Bird now on with the single. Now batting for the coaches. And this is Neil Warner. Neil Warner, the sports writer from the Daily Herald. He puts on this All-Star game every year. As also the president of the Second Chance Foundation. If you stay tuned to the North-South All-Star game, Coach or Mr. Warner will be in talking about the Second Chance Foundation and all that goes on to putting on the Utah Valley All-Star game. Here's a 2-0 to Warner. And that ball is tall. The 3-0. Warner holds off. Here's a 3-1. Warner makes contact. It's drifting down the right field line and is foul, and the count will now go full. The payoff pitch. Warner hits it to the right side, ranging over, trying to make a turn. Cloward on the second. Now the throw is not in time from Duke, and Warner will reach on a fielder's choice. 5 complete innings in, and the Players inch one game closer to getting back to 500 in the Coaches Players Classic here at the Utah Valley All-Star Classic. The Players win 1-0. And the all-time record now is Coaches 6, Players 5. Congratulations to the Players getting the big win. And again, stay tuned for our coverage of the 2010 Utah Valley All-Star Classic right here on Comcast On Demand.